The following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sounds 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I think you can tell we're at the ballpark. In this case, First Horizon Park, the home of the AAA Nashville Sounds. They've got a game tonight at 7:05 against Jacksonville, which is the AAA affiliate of Miami, the Marlins. Got a lot of things going on the show today. It will be a busy day at the ballpark. Let's first head up to the plateau and say hello to Watson Brown. Watson, how do we look at the old ball yard?
You guys look great, man. That's a nice view you got there. And they're playing, aren't they called the Jumbo Shrimp or something like that?
Yep, the Jumbo Shrimp.
Jumbo Shrimp.
Wonder who came up with that nickname.
That's the best nickname in minor league. Best one in minor league baseball.
No, it's one of them. There are a couple more. Look around. It doesn't necessarily win it hands down. So, Watson, what's going on in your world? Any golf today?
Just a little bit of golf, a little bit of cutting grass, a little bit of everything. I'm just a busy dude, George. I can't keep from being busy.
I'm so proud of you.
I can tell you that really hit home to you, didn't it? Yeah.
It really did.
Well, you can't relate to cutting grass, so that one's out.
Uh-huh.
You can't relate to playing golf, so that one's out. So really, I'm talking to myself here. I'm talking to Billy. Billy can relate to those things.
George, have you ever cut your grass?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've done yard work. I'm very proud of how my yard.
Back when his dad got on him in 1976, he cut the grass. That's about when he cut the grass. That's been at least that long
more
ago.
truth to that than you know.
No.
The yard probably looks great though right now.
No, it really doesn't. Come to think of it,
after all this rain.
No, the summer did it bad. I've got a lot of mud. A lot of spots where there's just a lot of dirt. Anyway, you're doing okay?
I'm doing fine, George.
That's wonderful. Then let's get on with it. Let's say hello to Terry McCormick. He, of course, leads off our show every day with the Daily Titans update. Terry, how are you?
Doing well, George. So about this grass cutting thing. Last time you cut the grass, Henry Aaron was still an active player or had retired?
I would say if I was going to get a good over-under, I would go with Nixon. And I'm not talking about Otis.
Richard Nixon in the White House, huh?
Probably, yeah. I mean, look, it's not something I really enjoy. Watson, obviously digs cutting the grass. He really gets into it. Well, good for him. I don't.
To each his own.
It'd be like asking Watson, do you make your bed every day? And the answer is no. You let Brenda do it.
Not every day, but I make the bed.
Think we got to him there, Terry.
No, you didn't either.
So,
Uh-uh.
I'm guessing Watson's made the bed since you've mowed the yard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you're probably right. So, shall we digress and get to the Titans?
Let's do it.
I think that's going to be a lot safer for me. What's
Yes.
going on out there?
Well, today is they actually have made the schedule. I told you an error yesterday. They actually did take today off. So tomorrow will be Wednesday for them, which will be the first day of the big preparation and installing the game plan and whatnot. And then Thursday that'll be Wednesday stuff. Friday will be Thursday stuff. And then they will practice on Saturday morning with the third down stuff that goes in on Fridays.
That's riveting info, Terry. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure, no problem, George.
So does that mean that Monday would be Tuesday?
No, Monday's the game.
I know.
It just sets everything back pretty much 24 hours when you play on a Monday night.
Yeah, what does it do for when they play the Raiders the week after?
Right. And then that means that, that's really a short week, even though the game is on a Sunday, as per usual. So if you want to talk about, some of the things that are going on out there, one of the things I think that they are really working on, and Kevin Byard told us this yesterday, that, when they watched the film, they saw lots of breakdowns in regards to the run defense in the second half. The Giants started pulling some players on the offensive line, trying to get out for lead blocks, springing Saquon Barkley and whatnot. And it caused them to get out of their gap fits and to be in the wrong position. Byard said those things are very correctable, and that's what they'll work toward doing as part of this week's preparation.
Terry, give me some thoughts on how they match up with Buffalo. A year ago, they kind of crammed it down Buffalo's throat. Derrick Henry had a monster game. Do they feel they're going to be able to do that again?
I think this Titans team certainly maybe isn't as strong, at least on paper, as that one last year was. You certainly don't take A.J. Brown out of the equation and get better right off the bat. I think that's going to take some time. I think offensively, they really need a big game from Derrick Henry. They need to control the clock. That won't be easily done against Buffalo's front. It's very much improved. They've added some pieces there. They've also beefed up the offensive line. But getting back to what goes on there, Tre'Davious White has missed some time for the Bills, and it's doubtful that he plays this week. So there's a couple of rookies that they've been using to fill in there. If I'm the Titans, I probably try to attack those rookie cornerbacks and just see if maybe you can get a big play or two out of that. That's going to mean more Robert Woods, more Nick Westbrook-Akina, and certainly more Treylon Burks.
On the flip side, when Buffalo's got the football, given Josh Allen's ability to run, do those ends just have to, I don't know if you'd call it mush rush, but try to keep him in the pocket and not let him get around?
I think you have to do some of that. I think the one thing that makes the Bills a little different than a lot of these other teams that, have this type of thing, they really don't rely much on the running game outside of what Josh Allen brings, whether that's as a scramble or as a design run. They've gotten a little better with Singletary carrying a little bit more of the load in the first game that they played there against the Rams, but everything they do is going to depend on what Josh Allen does, either as a passer or as a runner. And they know how dangerous he can be with Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis as his receivers. So I think you're exactly right. Maybe not a mush rush, but they have got to set the edge with Josh Allen, almost like you're setting the edge for the run game.
Terry, I tried to play general manager yesterday and sort of start the whole, should the Titans look at Rodrigo Blankenship? I'm not backing down. I think he's a better kicker than Randy Bullock. Do you hear or see anything that sounds like any of that might be going on?
Not that I've heard so far. I mean, I think they certainly would be doing their due diligence to kick the tires on Blankenship. I have not seen the waiver wire, George, so I don't know if he was claimed by anybody today or not. So that would be the first thing I'd have to check. But I don't know, Billy, do you know that? You know if you've seen anything to that effect?
I have not. I have not seen anything to that effect. No.
Neither one of us have. So we'll kind of end it here. If something else breaks, feel free to let us know. Terry, it's a good day. Anytime you're at the ballpark, that's good stuff.
Looks like a beautiful day for baseball out there.
No, it couldn't be better. Nice breeze. This is good. Terry, thank you. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Sounds good, George. Thanks.
Okay, Billy, let's get to the update because there are some interesting stories out there.
Yes, there are, George. We start in SEC football. The SEC has told Tennessee and Georgia to postpone their series with Oklahoma that's when they join the SEC, correct?
Yeah, apparently, Watson, both teams had, I guess, home and homes scheduled with Oklahoma, which is really interesting. Tennessee had already completed one back when Baker Mayfield was at Oklahoma. And now the league's saying, wait a minute, let's back off of this because when they come in, all of you are going to get Oklahoma on the schedule at some point.
Yeah, and I'm still not sure that it's not going to be 2023 when the moves are made. I'm still not. I'm not sure these teams. I'm not sure they're not going to be in the SEC next year. That's just a feeling. Nobody's told me anything. I'm not trying to make some scoop here or anything. All along, I've thought ESPN's not going to let this go that far. And I just still think it'll be next year. We'll see.
And they're the ones controlling it.
They are the ones controlling it.
Item number two,
George, the NFL has said concussions have dropped 50% with those new Guardian caps on the helmets. And I'm not surprised. I've heard good things from the college level with those caps as well. And it sounds like they've worked in the NFL.
So, Watson, they're not great on style. They look a little goofy. But if they're working that well, why doesn't the NFL step in right now and say, look, starting week 4, we're going to have you wear this stuff?
I think they're really heavy right now. And I think that the next thing you're going to see happen, in my opinion, is these helmet companies are really going to try to put a helmet together with this material in it or whatever, George. And that'll be the next step. I don't think they'll have them wear that in games. Not this year anyway.
Next piece, Brett Favre and the Mississippi welfare scheme continues, George. There's a lot of information here that needs to get ironed out still, but you've got the scoop here.
Well, I'm going to try and read it, and of course, the minute. Wow. There is a lot of wind, isn't there?
Of course, right when we come on.
Right.
Gusts of wind.
So, Watson, the deal is that he's got a daughter that plays, I think it's volleyball, and he was trying to get the state to build Southern Miss essentially a volleyball arena, and he got with the governor, and they cooked up some scheme allegedly that involved the use of welfare money. Now, I don't have enough to do a lot more than to just say simply, this doesn't look good. This looks sleazy. Shame on the governor if this is true. Shame on Brett Favre if it's true. It just doesn't look good.
I'm worried about it being a lot past not looking good. I mean, this could be jail time. If some of the things I've read are true, I hope they're not. I hope and pray they're not. But George, this is pretty serious stuff right here. Now you're talking about a lot of money, and you start messing with the federal government money, you're going to start grabbing everybody from the FBI to whatever. And
yeah, it doesn't go over well.
It don't go over well. This I hope and pray I'm wrong about this, but it just don't look good.
Next item up for bid.
George. Rory McIlroy has said that he doesn't want any live golfers at the Ryder Cup. So Rory McIlroy coming out and making his presence known with that. Doesn't seem like a fan of live.
Watson, you know more on the golf circuit than I do. Is he going to get his wish?
Yeah, I think that it's about all the PGA can do. Did you see how much money they're playing for this weekend? $50 million.
$50 million?
$50 million. I mean, this PGA is shaking because money talks, and what they're using is this money is coming from bad people. And gosh, George, there's a lot of money and bad people in a lot of these different sports we watch. I just don't know how far that's going to go. And I think PGA is scared to death. And that's about all they got left is you're not playing on the tour and you're not playing in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, Ryder Cup, Masters.
Yeah.
U.S.
You're not
Open,
playing on the tour, period, whether it's the majors or not, and you're not going to play in the Ryder Cup. They keep putting this kind of money out, and these players keep coming. There may be a Ryder Cup of live against PGA here one of these days. Don't it still feel to you, George? And I know more about this, but doesn't it feel to you that still got that AFL?
Oh, absolutely.
NFL feel to it, man. And sooner or later, if you're going to make it, you merge. You can't keep taking them on, especially somebody with that kind of money. There's a lot more money being thrown around by Live Golf than there was the AFL. And the AFL was throwing out more money than the NFL, if you remember, on signing people and on new people coming to the league.
Watson, let me try this on you. I don't sense that people care one way or the other who wins these LIV events. Yet, if it ever gets to the point where they do, then I think the PGA is in huge trouble.
Well, if you think back, George, and I'm old enough to think back, I'll say it before you do for me. But nobody cared about the AFL when it first started, really.
Yep.
They didn't. And I remember that first Super Bowl. Well, they can't play with the Packers. There ain't no way they can play. Well, they really didn't. It ended up 35-14, I think, was the score.
You're absolutely right.
Year two, here we go. And then all of a sudden, Joe Namath beats them. And
year three.
It's fallen to me. Everything is headed just like the AFL, NFL.
Last story.
The Nashville Predators have hired their first female scout. They announced Rhonda Engelhardt will become a North American amateur scout based out of Minnesota, the very first female scout hired by the team.
We congratulate her. That's a terrific piece of news right there. Okay, full show. After the break, Billy catches up with Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee. Then we'll have Watson's analysis of what level of progress they either have made so far or haven't made from First Horizon Park, where the weather's beautiful. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East And for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
We are back at First Horizon Park, which is the home of the Nashville Sounds. They've got a game here tonight, 7:05 against Jacksonville, which is the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. On to what we're doing next on the show. Vanderbilt goes on the road Saturday to Northern Illinois. I actually have done a game there back in 96. It was kind of a dump then. It's probably a dump now. It's not one of the real hot spots of college football, but it's a very important game for Vandy because once this one is over, it becomes all conference play, and you know how difficult that's going to be. Earlier today, Billy Derrick caught up with Commodore head football coach Clark Lee.
Obviously, coming off a Wake Forest loss on Saturday, you head up to DeKalb, Illinois, a little northern showdown for Vanderbilt, Northern Illinois, at Husky Stadium, 2:30 in the afternoon, kickoff on the CBS Sports Network. When you throw in the Wake Forest film from Saturday, Coach, what jumped out to you the most on Saturday?
Well, obviously the turnovers, and just we're not at a point as a program yet where we can have those self-inflicted wounds. And look, there are things that come up in performance that you don't control, and those things we just need to have a response to in the moment. But we certainly control decisions we make, and we control the way we secure the ball and how we protect the ball. And I thought we fell short in those areas, and we paid for it. Wake Forest is a good team. It's a good offense. We don't need to give them more possessions. We don't need to give them points. And doing that really hurt our chances to stay in the game and win. I was pleased with the competitive spirit coming out. I was pleased with the sustained effort through the game. I just was frustrated by our inability to play complementary football there and to protect the ball.
Coach, you mentioned competitive spirit. There are a couple plays that I look at that stand out to me. The goal line stand. I mean, it was 3-4 plays of back-to-back stops within the 5-yard line, and then the hit on Mike right out of bounds. Of course, looked like the entire sideline was up, and of course, want to try to walk that line of playing with competitive spirit, but also, sticking up for your teammates. So, what did you tell your guys about that moment? But also, just, it did look like that competitive spirit was there.
Yeah, we want to go to the edge, but not over. And, what we talked about in the moment of the hit, and then on Monday when we had our team meeting after the game, my responsibility and my job is to fight for the team on the sideline. My job is to communicate with officials. My job is to manage that part of the game. The players have way more significant parts of the performance that happen in between the lines. And so we need to, as a team, keep our focus on those areas and let me do the job of managing the officials and of working through communication lines that way. And not that those moments aren't going to spark some fire and elicit a response. I just want to see that response happen, between the lines, between the whistles.
Coach, how would you evaluate the quarterback position right now for your team heading up to Illinois, especially with a game that you're going to need some plays made, especially on offense?
Yeah, we need to find some consistency there. I mean, there have been flashes of brilliance, and some really some big plays, some really strong execution. We've moved the ball, we've scored points in the red zone. I mean, there's a lot of positives there, but we haven't been consistent, and that is evident in the last 6 quarters. Really, it's our inability to convert on third down. Obviously, in the Wake Forest game, to protect the ball and to extend drives, and we're not yet to the point as a program where we can put that much exposure on the defense. We're not at a point as a program where we can put that much exposure on the defense and expect to be able to play at a level that's going to allow us to see results. So again, for us, the consistency piece, and I guess the third part of that would just be the ability to get the ball on the perimeter some. We got to get our receivers going, obviously on third down, but even first, second down, to get them involved in the playmaking early so they're in the flow of the game and we have a chance to loosen the box a little bit and let that run game really get going.
Coach, margin for error is a big term in at football at every level. And you've talked about it before with your team that when your margin for error is slim, you have to take advantage of opportunities when they come to you. So how would you describe your margin for error this year with this year's team and what that means down the stretch of the season?
This is something we've talked a lot about as a staff. We've talked about it as a team, and we talked about it coming out of Saturday's game, is that the margin for error for us is razor thin, and we have everything we need in this team to win each game we play, but we need every part of this team to show up every Saturday. And when we have 8 of 11 or 9 of 11 or even 10 of 11 on the field playing with mental intensity and playing with belief, that's not good enough for Vanderbilt football right now. It takes 11 of 11 each play. And so, we're going to look back on the season when it's completed, and, the ultimate reflection could be on a great season where things locked into place and we were able to optimize those margins, or it could be disappointment because we weren't able to click into place and get, and really change the energy within the game. If we were disappointed in the turnovers on Saturday, that's one thing, but also we want to be a team where when we have one bad play doesn't result in 2, 3 in a sequence of bad events. And that's a matter of each phase of our game being able to step on the field and offer a response to whatever the energy on the field is in the moment. Can we impact or exact change and grab the momentum back for our side so that we're, again, impacting winning at every turn.
Coach, Northern Illinois next opponent, of course, MAC champions last year. Obviously, you've said you've got a lot of respect for that program. Of course, what is it going to take, to go up there and defeat a team like Northern Illinois?
Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to turn the page from last week and take the learning forward, and that's what we're focused on right now. It's going to take a great week of preparation, and so we have to, if we expect to play a certain way on Saturday, that needs to show up throughout the week in our practice. And so once we get those two things, and that's really about self-mastery, then you turn to the opponent and say, this is a team that's built around a physical run game. They got a good quarterback, good scheme. The defense is, they're +3 right now in their turnover margin in the first 2 games. They can make plays on both sides of the ball and really in all three phases. And so you start to think about how this game plays out, and you recognize that it's going to be a gritty game that's going to take all 4 quarters of effort and energy, and to go win on the road in an environment that's going to be challenging against a team that has pride and is going to play spirited. And so we have to be mature. We have to handle the trip, handle the week of prep, and show up on Saturday and play each snap with that mental intensity and belief that'll give us the opportunity to unlock the result we want.
That's Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee coming up on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff. It's Vanderbilt in Northern Illinois on CBS Sports Network. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
Great to be with you.
Watson, let me address one thing that he said, because I don't agree that all the pieces are there any given Saturday that they play. I don't believe that for a minute, and I'm certainly not blaming Clark Lee for that. I'm blaming Derek Mason for that, because he left an absolute pile of dog doo for that staff to try to get out of. But I don't believe that all of the pieces are there right now to do what they want to do. I'm just not buying that.
No, I've been asked a bunch by different people, where is Vanderbilt football right now? And I said, if it's probably between a fourth and a fifth of the way there. That's what I think. And I think he's done about all he could do in the year and half that he's been there. He's recruited well. I think he's got the players playing with some confidence. They're showing discipline much more than they did a year ago. The team plays much better than they did a year ago. The team's more competitive than it was a year ago. But honestly, watching them play, I still think program-wise, from talent to a lot of things, about a quarter of the way there, if that, between a quarter and a fifth of the way there.
What you're really saying, I think, is they need to stack 3 to 4 more recruiting years like the one they've just completed to be able to say, okay, let's start to see if we can stack up.
It takes at least 2. It takes at least 2, and then a year later from those 2. You add a third and a fourth, you're on your way to having some consistency. But to win, and to be able to win and not have to play your absolute best every week, it takes 2 very strong classes, and then let them grow, let them mature a little bit. So at the least 3 years for that to happen. And that's just where I think it is. So I think it's another really strong class this year. Another year to let it all grow together, and then I think in the 4th year you're going to see where they are. But they may win before that, but to have the talent level to where you don't have to play great and win, and win SEC games, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about games you're supposed to win. I'm talking about SEC games. If you're going to get to that point, George, they've got to keep going, and Clark has got to just be. It's a fine line for the head coach to be patient and yet aggressive as you can be to get there. And man, if you fall one way or the other too much, you can hurt yourself. If you're over aggressive and you're just pushing the kids to the point that they're not getting any success, you can have issues with that. If you're too patient to the point we're not there yet, let's just keep going, and nothing ever grabs you and gets you upset, and your competitive spirits kind of back off, that ain't good either. So, and it starts with the head coach. The head coach is the one that sets all that up. So far, I don't see what else he could have done.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that part of it. Let's go to the break, Watson, and then we'll talk about the dilemma that is really facing him, which is Mike Wright. Yes, he can run. No, I don't think he can throw. And I think that's going to become a huge issue. We'll talk about it when we come back. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Tell me a little bit about your company.
So One Stop Realty has been around since 1974. We are your hometown brokerage. It is family owned by me. We have 30 agents that are waiting to help you with all your real estate needs. That counts as residential, commercial, and property management. We also will be getting into the auction business at the end of this month as well. We have listings that range from every price range that you can think of on the real estate market. I know Shelly Tucker has a new listing coming up in Gallatin. Heather Patton has one in Madison right around the corner here. I have one coming up myself. We have everything you need as far as real estate, and we have the expertise to help you out.
Beautiful. Give them a phone number.
Phone numbers for the office is 615-822-0750. You can find us on the web at www.onestoprealty.tn.com.
Thanks for getting involved with us.
George,
really appreciate this. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so.
It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 10:45 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
We are back. We're at First Horizon Park, the home of the Nashville Sounds, who take on Jacksonville tonight at 7:05. They are the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins, and later in the show around 5:40, Sounds manager Rick Sweet will come up here, and he'll join us, and we'll talk a little bit with him about minor league baseball, the Sounds, a little bit of everything. At 5 o'clock, excited to have Mississippi State play-by-play voice Neil Price joining us. He will have a travel story for you of how they got home after beating Arizona Saturday night that will blow your mind. It'll make you want to ride a train. Anyway, let's talk a little bit of Vanderbilt. Watson, to me, there's this big question hovering over them right now, and that is Mike Wright. My belief is that against good SEC-type competition, his inability to throw is going to be a huge problem. To me, Wake Forest was an SEC type of competition, and he really got nothing done in that game. He's a fine runner. I take nothing away as far as his running skills, but I don't think he can back up the talk from SEC media days because I don't think he's a Division I thrower.
Yeah, it's so far what we've seen, George, he hasn't been able to prove that. And the stiffer the competition gets, the more you have to throw, whether it's RPOs, play action pass, or drop back passes, screens, whatever, you got to throw more. And that will expose him more. In these early games, he didn't have to throw a lot and he could use his legs. He's going to use them all year long, and they'll be good for him. I just remember one of the throws in the Hawaii game early in the first half, and he hit an inside linebacker right in the chest with a ball that would have been a walk-in touchdown. Kid just flat dropped it. And he's got, as a quarterback coach for 40-something years, he has major flaws in his fundamentals, George, to me. Now, I'm not trying to be a guru.
What are they?
Well, let me first say I'm not trying to be a guru because I've had a lot of quarterbacks that didn't make it that I've coached, and they just never got over the hump. His big issues to me is upper body more, and his elbow is into his body, his hands under the ball, and he whips the ball, George, instead of elbow up where your hands on the top and the ball spins. If you watch his ball, it either spins real fast or sometimes it just kind of comes out knuckling. Until he corrects that, to me, I don't think you can possibly be an SEC thrower. Now, maybe he just flat can't throw it by doing it fundamentally proper, and this is the only way he can. I don't know. I'm not trying to say somebody's not coaching him well. I'm just telling you what I see. Until that improves, in my opinion, he's going to have a tough time. And Clark has got a tough deal because this kid is absolutely one of his leaders. No doubt in my mind, watching him play, people cling to him. He's emotional. He's tough. He's one of the harder workers on their team. He is one of their leaders. I think that's why he's going to keep him as the starter as long as he possibly can till the other kid just flat beats him out. George, they're going to have to play both of them. They're running the ball with their quarterbacks a lot. I said, if you remember, guys, before the season started, I'll bet you their quarterbacks are going to average somewhere around 13 carries a game. That's about where they are. And you jump into the SEC and you're going to have two of them. So they're okay. They've got to play the other one, the young one, more now. I would leave the one they're playing right now. I'd leave him right there as the starter and make sure the other kid just finally beats him out. George, I've watched him for 2 years now till these fundamental pieces with his release. And again, his elbow is in. And if you'll watch him close when they give you a slow-mo, his elbow's in and his hand's under the ball. Just look at it. And every once in a while, he'll have one sail, but it also don't come out consistently in a spinning way. But if you look at my arm here and you take your elbow and bring it up and your hand now becomes on top of the ball, which as you let a ball go, your hand goes this way. It's different than throwing a baseball. And that's what gives you the spin on a football. That's what he really struggles with, to me.
Billy, you were over there today. Do you sense that what Watson is saying is the way they're going to go, or do you think they are close to a change?
Well, George, they've got Georgia and Alabama coming up. And my sense is that Watson is right. They value what AJ Swan has, but he's also a freshman. They value his 4 years down the road as opposed to throwing him in against the Wolves and say he gets a concussion, puts him out a year. Now he's already behind the 8 ball. So, but down the stretch of the season, AJ Swan he's going to end up starting a game down the stretch of the season. I think Watson's right to beat an SEC team. I think right now you have to throw the ball if you're Vanderbilt, and you're right about Mike Wright, George. He's not getting it done. I mean, you saw him against a defense like Wake Forest. Let's see what happens against an SEC defense that's even better, and it's going to look a lot different there. So I sense that, okay, they saw what AJ Swan did in that second half, and I know Wake Forest, they probably left off the steam a little bit. They're not, blitzing, playing the same type of defense, but I sensed a little bit of, hey, we need more there at the quarterback spot. We're going to do what we have to do, and that tells me, like you said, Watson, AJ is going to play. I mean, he's going to play.
Watson, where do you think they have made their most improvement since the day Derek Mason left to Clark Lee coming in? Where is the biggest improvement?
The skill, the overall talent is better, but it's not there. The young kids that I see play are immature. Their bodies are still immature. They struggle getting off blocks. I see some athleticism, but the better players are the younger players, and I think they've improved over coaching them better. They've coached these kids better. They're in the right schemes for them to have their most success, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball. I think they're doing the right things, and that's what's gotten them a little better. And their 2 wins now are against Elon and a real bad Hawaii team. And so we're not there yet, and I'm trying to defend them before we get there a little bit. They are a whole lot better. But, George, they got to keep going. It's not just playing Alabama. It's that every player they bring in, it better hit. They've got to get good players, and I mean SEC players. And like I said, they were in this last class, they were in the top
35.
35. I'll venture to say, because it happened to me in my last 2 years, both of my classes were in the top 35. The second one even got into the top 20 in about, I think it was 27 or 28. But every SEC team was ahead of me.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part. You not only bring these kids in, but you got to really develop them, and you got to coach the fool out of them if you're going to keep winning SEC games. And by the time he gets them here, they're going to be playing 9 SEC games instead of 8.
Yeah, Clark talked about his margin on the field being razor thin. Their margin in recruiting is razor thin as well, like you just said, Watson. I mean, you've got to hit on just about every guy. And so far, the guys that have played, Jaden McGowan, Watson, I mean, he's not real big, but he's a guy that has speed, legit speed, and they've got a guy on the edge, Darren Agu, number 92, I think he is. I mean, the development is there, but you've got to hit. So the margin for recruiting error is also razor thin.
I can give a great example, and George will know these names: Gerald Collins and Shelton Quarles. They started for me as true freshmen. They were good players, but they were immature. They got beat on. But they could fly. And by the time those kids got older, they're league players. They're NFL players. And that's where he is a little bit, in my opinion. And he's just got to keep going. And he's going to have to learn to win close games. I lost a bunch of close games at Vanderbilt in my time, and you got to win the close games, because if you're going to win SEC games, they're going to be close, and you got to win those games.
In the coaching scuttlebutt world that you have lived in, what do you hear as far as, is the school helping them as far as what kids they can or can't get in?
I can't tell you. I don't know, because it's not ever discussed. What happens out there on West End is it don't get out. It just, you don't know. You don't know what they're doing to help with that. It's a private school and everything is kept in tight. It was with me when I was there. And so, George, I just don't know. I see some good talent on the field as young players, as freshmen. I do. I see some talent, but not near enough. And just what Billy just said is fact. You see a kid out there that he looks like he's got athletic ability. But when these SEC teams start coming into Nashville and you compare that kid to what he's playing against, you're going to say, hey, he got a long way to go. But you see the ability. So it's not only recruiting, it's the strength coach being fantastic. And all of his assistants have to be really good at what they do. Look back at 1982, George, and you'll know the year I'm talking about. When I was the offensive coordinator, I came in 81. We weren't very good. Those kids were juniors. You could see it. I could see Whit Taylor. I could see Alama Matthews. I could see Pat Sandin. All these kids, Joe Staley, Emmanuel Young. I'm throwing out names that a lot of people don't even remember now. By the time those guys were seniors and Doc Crease had gotten hold of them, and I'm not trying to say cheating or what, I said Doc Crease was fantastic. He could get them stronger, and he got in their head. And those kids believed that's also what the Vanderbilt Coach Lee's got to do. That's the tough part. He has to develop all these pieces to get to where he can line up in the SEC and win his share. And or even win more. I think we went, 6-2 or 5-2 that year in the SEC. I can't remember. It might have been less than that. But there was nobody we played in the SEC where we didn't have a chance to win that game that year. But all those kids had been there forever. And they were all seniors, and pretty much I left with them. And they all graduated, and here you go again, and you try to start all over. So I think he's off to a fantastic start. But he's got a long way to go, and he knows it, and all he can do is stick his nose to the grindstone and put the blinders on to me, guys. Do what you're doing, but you can't miss on any piece. You can't miss on any piece in developing them and recruiting them, and then you can't miss on any piece on game day. They got to play really good. You cannot play average 3 years from now. You can't play average or below average at Vanderbilt and win an SEC football game. You're just not going to do it. You'll be close. You'll be there, but you just don't win the game. So he's going to have to – all these things have got to fit together, and that's not easy, but nobody, I don't think, has done it any better here at the start than he has.
We'll go to the break. Of having no margin for error, stat of the day is coming up next. There are days we look at the question – and we feel like we have no margin for error.
Razor thin.
This is Main Street Media Television.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
The high school football season is here, and nobody handles Friday nights better than Main Street Media. Here's Zach Womble with details.
That's the name of the game here at Main Street Media and Main Street Preps. Is, we've been doing this for a long time now, and I think you hit on it. We've got an army of reporters across all of Middle Tennessee. I think there's about 130 schools in the Middle Tennessee area, and we try to cover all of them. We cover about 11, 12 counties at this point. And those Friday night shows, it's we're gonna show that off. We're gonna showcase the talent that we have on the field with reporters across several mid-state games on the weekly basis. So whether you're in Williamson County, whether you're in Giles County or Murray County or Montgomery or Robertson or anywhere in between, we're gonna have you covered from 6 to 11.
Friday Night Live is presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show, live from First Horizon Park in downtown Nashville. I'm Billy Derrick as we get set for Stat of the Day, powered by John English Antique Sports and Cards, as well as Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. First with John English. They are over in Shelbyville, Tennessee, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 o'clock and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit them online at johnenglishgradedcards.com. Also, Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. Call Eric at 615-490-7052 or log on to rockcastlewealth.com. And George and Watson, this is a little, probably not a gimme, but definitely an easier one. Which 3 NFL wide receivers in week 1 all set franchise records for the most receiving yards in debuts for their respective teams?
Okay. Well, would A.J. Brown be one of them?
Well, that's one we've got to start with.
He had 155 yards. Didn't he have 10 catches or something?
Yeah.
155.
If he's not there, we're in deep trouble.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'm going next. What about the guy with the what's his name, Hill, with the Dolphins?
I like that.
What did he have?
Tyreek Hill.
I know Tyreek had some big catches in that game, but I don't know how if it's franchise, because there's been some really good receivers play with the Dolphins.
I think we can eliminate Dallas from some consideration here.
Well, you can eliminate the Giants. You can eliminate the Titans. That's for sure.
Okay, so real quick, you've got 2 of them. There's 1 left.
We got 1 left.
Gosh, I'm not.
I tell you what.
Was there one with the Chiefs? Was there one with the Chiefs? They really moved the ball.
They sure did. And I'm not thinking who it is. Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
Oh, go ahead and put it up there.
All right, so it was Jarvis Landry.
Ooh.
With the Saints. Did y'all forget he was on the Saints?
Should have gotten that.
AJ and Tyreek Watson got both of those, didn't he?
He did. I just sort of sat there like a spectator.
Good job, Watson.
Gosh, We should have gotten that last one, George.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? 67%'s not all bad.
Not bad, and we didn't get to see the Saints. They weren't on where we could watch some of that. We watched.
No, and
the
it's
Chiefs.
always good when we can find an excuse for our shortcomings. I think that's good. Anyway, we are
I'd say 2 out of 3 on that
officially-
question. I think that's a pretty hard question.
I think we did okay. We are now officially at the 5 o'clock hour. We're headed to Starkville in about 30 seconds. But first,
George, words on Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic. They combine state-of-the-art orthopedic service with a family atmosphere. Whether it's a sports injury, a sprained ankle, or a major joint replacement, Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has the staff, training, and equipment needed to take care of any patient in any circumstance. Visit them on their website. That's mtbj.net for more information.
as all of you know, Mississippi State is 2-0. Big victory over Memphis in a rivalry game a couple of weeks ago. It was a game that got delayed for a good while by lightning and thunder and rain. And then a trip out to Arizona Saturday to take on a much improved Wildcat team. And Mississippi State put a whooping on the Arizona Wildcats as well. Neil Price is Mississippi State's play-by-play voice, and he joins us from Starkville, Mississippi. Neil, how you doing?
Good, George. After a couple of late nights, I can't tell you how excited I am for a 5 o'clock game on Saturday.
Okay, so let's start with this. On the front end, Neil, know that I'm not a really good flyer, even though my dad worked for American Airlines for more than 40 years. His son is a little bit of a wuss when it comes to flying, and you've got a story that made me cringe. Let's hear it.
So the game ends at Arizona at about 2:30, probably Central Time, Sunday morning, this past Sunday morning. So after we get all the guys out of the locker room, we get all the post-game media done, we're on the buses, and it's about a 30-minute ride, it feels like, to the airport. And it's another probably 30 or 40 minutes before we're finally off the ground by the time everybody goes through screening and everything. So once we get in the air, you know, my first thought is, how quick can I get to sleep so I don't just miss out on a whole day Sunday? And luckily, pretty quick. I wake up about 2.5 hours later when we should be landing. And what wakes me up is the feeling of the plane pulling up about as fast as it can go. So I look over at Matt Wyatt, who does the games with me, former quarterback here. And I said, what happened? And he said, well, he said, it's kind of foggy outside. He said, we were on approach. They couldn't really see the runway. They were afraid they'd miss it. So they pulled up. We just kind of glided over the top. Okay. You know, so that's happened before. I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that, you know, you're going to have something like that happen. So it's better safe than sorry. So we circle the airport in Columbus for, I don't know, half hour. And then the pilot comes on, confirms that it's foggy, approach is tough. And by the way, we're getting to where we have a fuel issue, which is pilot for we're running out of gas. So we're evaluating what the next step is. We'll keep you posted. Okay, thanks. We're running out of gas. We'll get back to you. So we wind up going to Birmingham and landing at Birmingham Airport. We have to wait on a gate to open up to fuel the plane because it's an unscheduled stop. So you can't just go to the FBO and have them fuel up the jet. So we wait probably 30, 45 minutes on the tarmac. We finally get an open gate. We taxi over. They start fueling the plane. Well, the pilot's hours are up. So now we need to change pilots, change flight crew. And the flight crew's got to eat before they can get on board and start the shift. So we got to feed the pilot and the co-pilot. So, okay, we're taking care of all that for a 21-minute flight from Birmingham to Columbus, Mississippi. In the words of Ron White, it's an 8-minute flight. We can't do it with this equipment. So
what time did you all land?
We landed at about 10:30 in the morning. And by the time we rode back to the facility and everybody kind of scattered and went their own way, I walked in the front door about 11 a.m. all in one piece, all safe and sound, the main thing,
Yes.
but much later, obviously, than we had planned on. So good news is you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old guys. They're pretty resilient. I told somebody earlier today, when I was 18 to 22, staying up, 26 hours or whatever, 24, I probably could have pulled that off once or twice and I'd have been okay, no worse for wear. At 42, I can't do that anymore. If it gets much past 11, it's tough for me. I had to sleep in Saturday morning just to make it through the game Saturday night. But the good news is they won the game. I mean, you think about what if they wouldn't have won the game and you would have gone through all of that. Everybody would have been miserable. Instead, everybody just kind of laughed it off. And we're back at it again, getting ready for an SEC game this week.
And you'll know the answer to this question probably after Saturday night down in Baton Rouge. How good do you think you all are right now?
Well, I think we're better than we've been at any point since Mike Leach has been here. And a big reason for that, George, is that we've got some guys now that have a lot of experience playing in his offense, a lot of guys who have experience playing in Zach Arnett's defense. And we've got some juniors and seniors that we're putting out there, where the last 2 years we have put a bunch of freshmen and sophomores on the field. So these are guys they've developed that have taken some lumps and now hopefully are ready to reap the rewards of that. So, to your point, yeah, we'll see Saturday how big a step they've taken, because it'll be clearly the toughest environment they've played in at this stage of the year. The last time they went to LSU, we played in front of about 25,000 people, first game of the year in late September of 2020. There'll be close to 100,000 there on Saturday night, and they will all be against the Bulldogs. So we'll see if all that experience and, the mental maturity and all those things, we'll see how far that can carry them in a game against a team that's got some really talented, gifted athletes.
Neil, I'm going to turn Watson Brown loose because he knows Mike Leach as well as anybody in the coaching profession. Watson, take it away.
Neil, the good thing to me is the history of Mississippi State. They've played really well in Baton Rouge, and I feel confident that the kids will feel that the traditions are passed on. And I know when I was there in the 90s with Coach Sherrill as his offensive coordinator, we beat the fool out of them in Baton Rouge one night, and it's a feel. The kids, I remember before that game, that they're confident. And so I feel good in that way. The other thing, Neil, I want you to comment on, I see maturity and all that's there, but I saw two things in the game Saturday night when I watched it. I saw more athleticism on defense. There's much more speed and quickness than I saw last year or even the year before, number one. And number two, I saw Mike run the ball more. And honestly, I wouldn't want Mike to change his offense. He's one of the best at it, and what he does is fantastic. But I've always thought when Mike adds the run with it and they give him the run, because he's not going to run it if they don't give him the run, they're even tougher to stop. And I saw some good running backs, Neil, carrying the ball. So I personally see this as a much better football team right now, early in the year.
Yeah, Coach, I agree with you. And, you mentioned those running backs in particular. I always defer to Matt because Matt played football here and he knows a lot more about it than I do. And when we were watching training camp in August, he looked at me and he said, that running back room, I think, is going to be a big difference maker for this team. And to your point, they have athleticism and speed there in Woody Marks and Dylan Johnson. But now they've got some depth to go with them. And we've had a chance to see Simeon Price just a little bit, who would be that third string guy. But Simeon might be the fastest of that trio. I mean, he can really run. But they've got good hands. And, the bulk of what they have done in their careers to this point has been catching passes out on the edge and trying to make guys miss. That's like a toss play for Mississippi State. And now, because Will Rogers, the quarterback, has matured, Coach Leach is really trusting him to take a look across the line of scrimmage, see what kind of box he's looking at, And if he has a box that favors the run, if he's got 5 guys in there, he can check and try to get them into a run play, that gives them a chance to make positive yards. And I think the first 2 games, more often than not, he's made the right call at the right time. And you don't have to run it a ton. Against Memphis, had it not been for a negative play in the 4th quarter, I think they would have broken the 100-yard mark rushing in that game. They were high 70s, low 80s in the game at Arizona in rush yards. And I joke with people, if they get to 75, that's kind of like getting to 150 in this offense. You just need to do enough to keep the opposing defense honest, where they can't drop 8 guys all the time and dare you to try and find an open window in his own defense. They've got to come up and try and guard against the run a little bit, or, you're going to find a way to take what they give you and keep moving the sticks and keep their defense on the field doing it. So, yeah, I think all those points are valid. And on defense, yes, they do have more athleticism. They have more depth on that defensive front. Of the 6 guys in that 2 deep, people I talk to think that 5 of those guys have got a real chance to play pro football. And I agree with them. They got good bodies, but they're fast to have all that size and strength too. And they've gotten better in the secondary. That was an area a year ago where they gave up big plays, went out in the transfer portal and brought in Jackie Matthews from West Virginia, who's played about every position in the secondary in his career. He has helped Jalen Green in his 2nd year after coming over from Texas. Now is in a spot where he can react and not have to think as much. And they got good corners. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes has been good. That's no secret. And then DeCamerion Richardson was a guy who got pressed into service against Kentucky last year and kind of had to, grow up on the job, and took advantage of that opportunity and made the most of it, turned himself into a starting corner in the SEC, and in the first 2 games has handled himself pretty well.
Yeah, and to me, Neil, the quarterback, I think at the end of the year is going to be one of the best in the league. I saw great improvement in him. He's stronger. He's more mature. He's stronger in the pocket. He don't get bounced around the same way I saw him in his early years. And his decision-making, to me, is much more consistent. In Mike's offense, you've got to be right because when you throw the ball instead of hand it to somebody, you got to be right in where you're throwing it. And so 9 out of 10, he's got to be right. And I thought he was a 7 out of 10 guy. And the other night, I just see a difference in him. And so I think that's going to really show if he stays healthy through the year.
Yeah, I think that you are absolutely right with regard to what Will's been able to do. And, he's a coach's kid. His dad's offensive coordinator at Brandon High School, just outside of Jackson. They ran a version of the air raid when he was in school. Of course, Gardner Minshew was a quarterback at Brandon before Will and before Gardner went on to Washington State and then later to play in the NFL. So he's been around it. It's just adapting to the speed of defenses at this level, especially when you're playing in the SEC West. And I think he's got a real feel for it, but he's a sharp kid and, clearly athletically gifted, but he likes to do a lot of things with regard to trying to get better when nobody's watching too. And he's committed to that. Coach talked about that Monday. He has been he's been a real example of someone who doesn't care to work hard when no one's looking. And I think that's why he's made the strides he's made.
Yeah. And last to me, Neil, is a little bit of a negative. I think LSU is a lot better than people think. I'm telling you, they didn't play well at all against Florida State, not at all, and should have been in overtime. I mean, I think it's a good football team, and their quarterback really impressed me when they let him go finally. They were very conservative with him in the first half against Florida State. Then they get behind and let him go, and he starts making plays everywhere. He's with his feet and his arm. I think LSU is a much better team. I'm still picking the Dogs, but I've got a lot of maroon in me. But I think LSU is a lot better than people think they are.
I don't disagree with that. And again, I think it's because, they're always going to have athletes. They're always going to have talent. They've got a lot of new faces on that roster. I think I read they started 6 true freshmen, and I think there were 20 some odd players maybe that made their LSU debut when you factor in transfers, true freshmen, and redshirt freshmen in that game against Florida State 2 weeks ago. So just stands to reason that they're going to have some time being out there together, either on the practice field or in games or both, to kind of get acclimated. I also know they got, some good coaches on that staff. I mean, Brian Kelly's resume speaks for itself. I can remember when Matt House was the defensive coordinator at Kentucky. They've got some good coaches on their staff too. And I think their fans want to see something pretty quick. And first SEC game, I'm sure they're going to be amped up and ready to go because they want to get a big win and show people exactly what you're talking about, that they're better than people believe they are right now. So it'll be a tall task for a state team that's going to be favored going in there, but I think it's going to be a great football game too. They all should be when you get to this stage of the year. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, be sure, and George, that's all I got, but be sure, Neil, and tell Mike hello for me, and good luck to the Bulldogs.
All right, Coach Brown, I appreciate it. I'll see him in a little bit. I'll be sure to tell him.
Be sure and do that for me.
I'll do it.
Hey, Neil, while you're at it, make sure and say hello for me to Matt Wyatt. He and I did a game. We did a pay-per-view game together. God, it's been 10 years ago. And apparently he has overcome the trauma.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm a big guy, so I need some strong people to carry me every Saturday. And Matt's a good one. Here's a guy who played quarterback, big, tall, broad-shouldered guy. And I said, thank goodness those shoulders are big because you're carrying a lot of weight around every Saturday. But I'm not saying it because he's my partner on the broadcast. I'm saying it because I believe it to be true. Matt's just got a real gift for being able to explain the game in a way that just about anybody can understand it and to do it in a concise way. State people are really fortunate to have him here and to have him stick around the program and be in the state and do those things. And I know I'm sure glad to have him working with me on Saturdays because he makes my job a whole lot easier. And sometimes he makes me sound a whole lot smarter than I really am.
Neil, you were nice to take the time to do this. Hope we can sort of hook back up again before the season is over. Thank you for the visit.
No problem. Good to see you guys.
That's Neil Price. He is Mississippi State's play-by-play voice on radio. Good to have him talking what will be a big game in the SEC. LSU at home Saturday night at 5 o'clock at Tiger Stadium against the undefeated Bulldogs. When we come back, we'll go to the text mailbag, so to speak. We're broadcasting today from First Horizon Park, home of the Nashville Sounds. This is Main Street Media Television.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve. At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. One area I can help with is if you are newly or nearly retired, or maybe have changed jobs and have an old 401k account. You may need more information to help you clearly understand your options. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email eric@rockcastlewealth.com.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
We're back at First Horizon Park. Nashville Sounds and Jacksonville go at it tonight at 7:05. The weather is perfect. Boy, if you're in the area or you're not really doing anything all that exciting tonight, come on out to the ballpark. It's good stuff. We will later in the hour be joined by Sounds manager Rick Sweet. Some of you who are around my age will remember he was a major league catcher. San Diego Padres, the first team that comes to mind for me. But anyway, we go to the mailbag for this segment. Billy?
George?
Good stuff?
Great stuff. Great stuff today.
Let's hear it.
In Mount Juliet. We go to Larry in Mount Juliet. He asks, who do y'all think is the most pleasant early surprise in college football?
Watson, can I take this one? Because there's one that comes to mind for me right off the bat, and then I'll be curious where you go.
Sure, go.
It's the job Mike Elko has done at Duke. They are 2-0, got a road win at Northwestern last weekend. I didn't see that coming. How about you?
No, very good pick, George. And I'm anxious to watch him. The Northwestern win was a big surprise to me. That also says Nebraska isn't very good, but my two are SEC, and I just think Mike Leach's team looks really good to me, and I really like the Cats, the Wildcats, man. Everybody talking Tennessee and Georgia and all the different things, and the Cats are there again, and this might be the best looking team I've seen him have. And if he gets his tailback back, Rodriguez back, and I think he will in another week, so both those, Mike's team looks really good, but I'm really nervous for the Bulldogs. And of course, I'm a Bulldog, like I'm a Sooner, like I'm a Commodore. I was offensive coordinator at all those places. And I'm telling you, I think LSU's a lot better than they've played, and they're just liable to come out and light it up and play really well.
And that place will be loud. If you have not been there, to me, it's the most intimidating SEC place at night. Daytime, not so much so. They haven't had a chance to get all liquored up. By 5 o'clock, they'll have had their gin and tonics and maybe some stuff that's stronger. They'll be ready.
Well, where it's intimidating over others and it's loud inside, I've always said A&M's the loudest, but LSU's right there. Where they're intimidating is getting in now that place with the team that's playing, getting in and out of there. You pull in, and that tailgate, George, goes forever. Miles, it seemed to me, when I'd pull in there, and I've been there a bunch. And, man, they're all over you before you ever get off the bus. I mean, they're eating you alive. Yeah. They're right up next to the bus. They're shaking stuff. They're yelling and screaming, we're going to kick your you-know-whats. And, I mean, in a lot of ways it gets you excited, but I think in a lot of ways there's kids on buses that get a little intimidated with it as they go too.
Watson, when I was doing Vanderbilt games, we made the decision to make them wear those hideous purple jerseys as opposed to the great, white jersey with the yellow pants. And we got pelted, eggs thrown as we're getting off the bus. The concept of crowd control down there is none. There's none.
I thought when we knocked them off at UAB and we're leaving, I thought the bus was going to turn over that I was on. I'm on the first bus. And I swear I felt like the wheels came off the ground. They were shaking it so much as we would go by. I mean, that's what makes it one of the top atmospheres. It's not just inside the stadium, George. It's also outside the stadium.
You see absolutely nobody representing LSU's athletic department while that's going on.
They don't want to.
No, they know every week it's happening, but they fear for their own existence.
Hear no evil, see no evil, babe.
Oh,
I mean, just let it go. Let it go.
George, we got another comment. This is from earlier in the show. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I thought I should. And this is Clay Phillips. I think he's responding to you, Watson, when you were talking about Mike Wright's throwing motion earlier. He said, give Wright another week. He was pressing Saturday, made a few mistakes that said Swan has the arm talent. Recruiting is huge the next 2 years for Lee, in my opinion. So Clay wants to give Wright another week.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Watson.
Oh, that's what I would do. That's what I think they're going to do. I agree with the caller 100% or the text 100%. And I hope Mike plays better. We talked about fundamentals, George. They very well may have been working on all these things, but what happens sometimes with some kids is you get out there like he's talking about, you get a little tight and you lose your fundamentals and you kind of go back to what you were prior, what you originally, the way you do. And so I hope the young man, he seems like a great kid. I hope the young man plays a lot better this week. And then when he gets back into the SEC, he plays better, because I don't think they can win the games they would like to without him playing. He's got to play some. They can't just put a freshman in and let him go. Being able to put that freshman in, out and in, out and in, out and in. To me, I play them both the rest of the year, but my starter is the one they're playing with right now. It's right.
Let's go next to Phil in Murfreesboro. Back to college football. Do you believe Urban Meyer will be a college football coach in 2023?
I'll start it, although Watson's the one that's got more experience on this. Rick Pitino got hired when it looked like he was down and out. There will be some athletic director, Watson, who says this guy can win on the college level. Now, my hope is that he has realized what a jerk he behaved like in Jacksonville and realizes that the public is really down on him. but I do think he'll be a coach next year.
Oh, I don't. If he wants to, he's going to have offers. I mean, the college guys will not even. I mean, they'll look into the pro year, but they don't care. They don't care. And you know, the stuff that happened, little personal things now will hurt him a little bit more than just losing in the NFL. But you can't. His record in college football is phenomenal, and I don't think Urban goes back if it's not one of the better jobs. He's going to sit there, and Urban's not through. He's going to do it again. I would think if he would be embarrassed over what went down in Jacksonville, and he wants to prove himself that that's not the way he is. So he probably would be a really good hire because I think he'll double the work ethic, and he's always been a hard worker.
Watson's right about one thing. He's not going to UL Monroe.
Nope.
He's going to one of the blue bloods, which makes for the easy rumor about Nebraska, but so does, 3 or 4 other names, including Mark Stoops, including Matt Campbell, including the new hot name Lance Leopold at Kansas. You give him another couple of wins in conference play, Lance Leopold's name's going to go way up there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Does Nebraska take a shot at Urban Meyer? Do they do it? Are they in that type of spot to where they just say, Urban, we need you? What are the options?
I think Urban will wait another year before he goes to one that he really don't want.
I can see the PR
I don't think
campaign.
it hurt him to wait another year. Even some of the NFL might die down. He's going to pick and choose, and he'll hit one. I don't think it's Nebraska. I don't think Urban will want Nebraska. Nebraska may or not want Urban, but I don't think Urban would go to Nebraska. No, nothing to
I can
back
see the
that on,
marketing.
George. That's just the way I feel.
Yeah, Watson, I can see the marketing campaign. Welcome to Urban Renewal.
That's a good one, George.
Good one, George. You've been saving that, or did you just pop that up?
Well, within the last couple of minutes.
Okay, pretty good. Pat you on the back with that one.
You must have a marketing background.
Keep going.
Next one, George. What is your opinion of minor league baseball having a union? This is from Will in Franklin, and we're going to have Coach Sweet on. I know that was a potential question for him, but
absolutely, because Watson, 30 years ago, the Major League Baseball players treated the minor league guys like they were dirt under their feet, and now all of a sudden they're apparently opening their arms to allowing the minor leaguers into their powerful deal. I'm shocked.
But it needs to happen. I mean,
sure it does.
It would probably keep some guys in the minors and fight it longer and end up making it if they stay longer. If they'll just help those kids some, George, they're just treated awful.
If you'll look out here, I don't know how much you can see. This is not an easy life. Having been a broadcaster on the minor league level, it's hard. And the guys that make it through this to the majors, man, I have a ton of respect for.
What other sport, George, team sport, that you have to go so far to get there? Look how much easier it is to get to the NFL. Look how much easier it is to get to the NBA. Baseball, Major League Baseball, if you're drafted first round or second round maybe, but after that, man, I mean, it doesn't mean a hill of beans. You got to go prove it again, and in some tough situations, man, with travel late night, getting somewhere, playing again the next afternoon. I mean, they do so many things. It's really hard that the NFL guys never had to do, and the NBA guys don't have to do.
Last one here, George. Which college football team right now is better in y'all's opinion? NC State or Tennessee? They're very close in the rankings right now. Tennessee is number 15. I think NC State is at 16 right now. They've both got really good quarterbacks, solid offenses. Who's better, the Wolfpack or the Vols?
Watson, I would say Tennessee by maybe a field goal on a neutral site.
Yeah, I would say Tennessee because they'll score more points. NC State, even last year, starting again this year, inconsistent on offense. Really good one game, then they kind of fall off a little bit. Now, their defense is very solid, probably better than Tennessee's. But just the consistency, Tennessee in all the big games, in the SEC games, they're going to score points. It's a matter of can they score enough points to win. I wouldn't say that about NC State right now. Every time they go out, they're going to score a lot of points.
Okay, as we go to the break, let's say hello to a good friend. Brian Stewart's on the line with us. You see him at the bottom of the screen. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, George. I want to apologize for not being here yesterday. Just had we have a new agent meeting once a month, and yesterday just happened to be the day for that. So sorry for my absence on the show yesterday. Hope y'all had a great show.
We tried to, but we missed you. So now you got 2 days of backed up info. You tell me where you want to take it.
Well, I was listening to you guys while I was waiting to come on and everything, and thinking about the minor league ball life. And I always have to go back to Bull Durham. I feel like Bull Durham probably summed up the minor league ball player's life pretty daggum good. It's just a fantastic show. So, George, we have one exciting bit of news. I preluded this before. You see the sign in the background, and I told you that we have a new logo coming. Now, what that new logo is going to consist of and why we're doing that is because we're adding the auction game to our business. So we officially, as according to the Secretary of State today, where I spent a little time this afternoon, we are officially called One Stop Realty and Auction. So please hold the applause, Watson. I know you're excited, but I will say this: it is a big move for One Stop Realty. As I've said before, and I know the people that have heard me before mention it, that it just opens up another opportunity for our clients to work with us and gives them an option instead of selling. If they need to go under the auction and get that house sold quickly, it's the option there for them. And one thing that I can say about an auction is it gives an opportunity for a seller to save money on the commissions that they would pay for a normal sale of home. Now there's pros and cons to everything, and we can talk about that another time with auctions versus selling. But one thing that it can do is that the buyer's premium that we offer on it, any buyer that comes into to the auction and buys that property, they pay the 10% buyer's premium. And out of that, the commissions are paid to the agents that are involved. So the seller or the owner of the property is only responsible for the advertising part of it, which can average around $2,000 to $3,000, and definitely a significant decrease versus the average commission that you see in a real estate deal. So very excited about that, George. Next week, I think we're going to have our new signs made, or they should be getting made right now. We should have them in hand next week. So I look forward to, as you said before, the breaking news, the unveiling of our new logo. It's going to be a worldwide exclusive right here on the Plaster Show next week. I
love it. Listen, you take care. We'll do it again tomorrow.
All right, guys. Thank you all, and have a good time out there at the Sound Stadium, okay?
Any day at a ballpark is a good day, Brian. Thank you.
Amen. See you, George.
Stay tuned. We'll meet up with Sounds manager Rick Sweet when we come back. This is Main Street Media Television.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. One area I can help with is if you are newly or nearly retired, or maybe have changed jobs and have an old 401k account. You may need more information to help you clearly understand your options. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
We're back, and this is going to be fun. We say hello to Nashville Sounds manager Rick Sweet. We've already had a talk show going that you all didn't get to hear. We were basically a talk show without a signal.
Well, did you get paid?
No.
That's what happens.
You're exactly right, though. That's the important part. How hard is it, having done this, as I was in college and then shortly after college, getting to do minor league baseball on radio, you realize that a manager, while everybody wants to win, sometimes it is not the number one priority on a given night. How hard is that?
Yeah, it makes the job extra tough because I'm not there just to win every game. My job is to make sure I got guys prepared for the Major League Club. That's where winning every game is important. And if you follow the Brewers, we've been in the playoffs 4 years in a row. Right now, we're battling. We've been battling here for 2 or 3 weeks for them to make the playoffs. And of course, we are doing the same thing. That makes it doubly tough, but also makes it more fun.
So we had a situation come up about a month ago that I really wanted to kind of see what would happen. We asked to have Paul DeYoung on when Memphis came in here while he was still with the club. And I've always thought that's the hardest thing a AAA manager has to do, is deal with a major league player who has achieved at a pretty darn good level. And for one reason or another, things aren't going well. That person comes down. I've seen scenarios in the past where that major league player coming down is a clubhouse disruptor. DeYoung was not. He talked about,
I came down here with a good attitude. I made the decision. I wasn't going to be that person. But what does the AAA manager do when Joe Major League acts like a big shot?
Well, there's two ways you can go. The only power I really have is the power of the pen. That's the lineup. You talk about DeYoung. He came down. He played every game. He played every inning of every game. He's the only guy. We'd play a 6-game series. He played every inning. He wanted to get back to the big leagues. So all of these guys, you got to find out what motivates them. Is it money? Getting back to the big leagues? What is it? And once you find out what that one thing is, and in most cases, they want to get back to the big leagues because the money comes after the big leagues. The power of the pen comes into play. Now, obviously, you've got to have an organization that will back you if you come to that. Very seldom, though, I'll be honest with you, I haven't run into that problem in quite a few years. Most guys come down. They come down with the attitude after you give them a day or two to get themselves
to sort
back
of the
together.
cooling off period.
Yeah, they're ready to go. They're ready to play. And when you start playing them, you kind of make a deal with them. I'll take care of you. You take care of me. You be a good clubhouse guy. You show up on time. You go out and play hard. When we have that tough travel day or we have that day game after a night game, you get the days off. You do a trade-off with them, and they're all for it. Also, you put a little pressure, put it on their shoulders. Hey, I need you to be a leader. We got young kids here. We got guys that you're going to teach how to be future big league players. They're going to look at everything you do. You'd be amazed at how that affects guys. They don't want to be perceived by their peers as a dog. They want to be perceived as a guy that goes about his business, plays the game the right way. So there's various tools you can use. You just have to have the patience and the history that they know you'll do what you say you'll do.
You realize next year we're going to do an hour of this.
Oh yeah, we talk all day.
Because I love it. I'm as hardcore a baseball fan as it gets. I'll admit I am shocked to see the concept of a minor league union when 20, 30 years ago, the major league players acted like the minor league guys were dogs.
It's amazing how the game's changed. This is my 48th or 49th year in the game. I was part of the union back when we struck and got locked out. I was part of 3 or 4 of those with Marvin Miller and that group trying to get equal rights, trying to get things straightened out. And I look at today's game, and now they've got one for the minor leagues. I mean, we've wiped out 40 teams in the minor leagues. Our minor league systems are cut way down. And it's different. People ask me all the time, the game's changed. We got new rules that we're going to institute next year that we have worked on here as far as the shot clock and shifting and stuff like that. Those are huge things. Now people go, well, what do you think of them, good or bad? I said, they're different. I don't pick sides, good and bad. It's different. I'm still in the game. There's not many gray hairs left in the game. If you look around, in fact, I asked him if I should wear a hat up here, and he said, whatever you want. I want my gray hair to show. I'm happy I have hair. But if you look at where we're at in the game right now, we're going through major changes in the game, and I'm interested. I'm curious to see how they work in the game. The analytics has totally changed the game, and yet I see a lot of organizations shading away from analytics, going back to the middle, going back to where the eyes are what we go by and not just pure numbers.
Yeah, there's got to be some gut feeling to it.
Without a doubt.
Watson, so I wanted to make sure when Rick came up here, give me a couple of your teammates. Think about these. Gaylord Perry, Randy Jones. You remember Randy Jones? Crafty lefty. He'd throw a game in an hour and 50 minutes if need be.
Through 79, 80 miles an hour. That was it.
Have we lost Watson?
I think we might have. Oh, there he is. I think we got him.
Got me there. I was muted in some way there. But Coach,
there's some days I try to do that to him on purpose.
Is that a bar behind him? What's that behind him?
It needs to be. I can tell you that. You spend 2 hours with this dude on a show every day. It's exactly what it needs to be.
We got a big old helicopter.
We just ran into LaGuardia. Is there a Mets game?
Coach, congratulations on a great career and all that you've done. A couple of questions that I've always wondered about minor league baseball. How often do you run into as a manager now when you see that guy that's fought his heart out for so long and for either there wasn't a spot for him or he just hadn't hardly been good enough, and you start to see it in his eyes? How hard is it to keep him motivated, to change him back and keep him going? Because I know that happens to a lot of guys at different times in their career.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. You're talking about some of the toughest things I have to do as a manager, and I think the biggest thing is the experience I've had with the years in the game. I played 9 years, and the rest of it has been spent as a manager. Is keeping them motivated, and you do that by getting to know them. I know most of my players' wives. I know their families. I love having kids in my clubhouse. I make it as close to a family thing as I can. I've had a few people, oh, you can't, you don't take kids to the office. We don't work in an office. We play on a field. We get dirty. We put a uniform on. We shower at the ballpark. We shower in the office every day before we go home because we're stinking. So I think the motivation part is you get to know them. You get to know what their dreams are, and it's slowly. At some point in time, you have to think about getting a real job. And when guys start getting to the end, they know it. They start saying, this isn't as much fun as it's been because they're getting beat up every night. Then you help them transfer to outside of the game or doing what they want. I get calls still about players that played 7, 8, 9 years. They played in AAA maybe 2 or 3 years, can't get over that hump to get to the big leagues. A lot of them, you'd be surprised, they become firemen, police officers, where it's group. They like that camaraderie. They like working with people, and it's the tough part. But you always want them to go out with a smile on their face and still loving the game. Because when you play professional baseball, probably in all sports, but I know in my sport, it's not as easy as what people think. Everything that we go through and the time away from family and the amount of time necessary to practice and work out, you've got to be fully dedicated. And when you start losing that, it goes away.
Second thing, Coach, is I see now, and the game has changed so much, but injury has become such a big part of Major League Baseball. Is there a point as a manager and a guy that's been in it this long that maybe we play too many games? Do we need to rest these kids more than we are? They play so many even before they get to the major league. Or is it just these bodies now are so much bigger, stronger, faster? There's going to be injury. Is that it? Or is there something we can do to help it? Because every team I watch in Major League Baseball, we don't hear about all the ones on the minor league level. But injury has become such a big part of the game.
It has. When I played, virtually nobody got hurt. An oblique, I didn't know what the heck an oblique was. But today I think a good part of it is these guys are so much bigger and so much stronger. Yes, they run faster, they throw harder, but the body can only take so much. And I think we're trying to find that happy medium where guys are getting stronger, maybe not so much bigger, but getting stronger, but keeping the flexibility and stuff necessary to where we don't blow out arms and blow out legs. So I think we're still working on that within the game. But that question, it's the same thing in the minor leagues. We have it a little easier because we don't not pressure is the wrong word, but they don't feel as obligated to play every day. We get them days off. When you get to the big leagues, we all know there's only one thing. You win. Win, baby, win, or you're not going to stay there. So they have a tendency to get hurt more often than we do in the minor leagues because we will give guys days off.
Next summer, let's do this for an hour.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about Gaylord. I know what you want to talk about.
Listen, he's not the only one, but, man, he is a trip.
No, I would love to do it. We'll have fun. We'll have a bar behind us, so we're all set up. We'll be good to go.
And Watson, the sun will still be shining on you.
Oh, I got to go get the curtain.
Hey, we'll take our final break, and then Plaster Bet of the Day comes up next. And God knows I need a win. When Jacob deGrom didn't work last night, will anything work? Stick around.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
I'm Bart Durham. I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. As we wrap it up, we've got Plaster's bet of the day coming up here in just a second. But first,
if I don't get a win soon, it'll be the Billy Derrick show.
George, bet of the day, 1975. That's how long Bart Durham injury law has been protecting the rights of victims of car accidents and personal injury in both Tennessee and Kentucky. If you too have seen your life interrupted by an injury on a highway, in a hospital, or at your workplace, you should let their attorneys do the work fighting for the financial compensation that you need. Learn more about Bart Durham injury law by logging on to bartdurham.com. George, your results have not been good. I don't think we even need to look at those. Let's get on to the bet. You're going to take the LA Dodgers tonight.
You know what I think it is, Watson? I don't think he did the graphic. I think under death, he just decided not to even put it up there.
Oh, my gracious. That's a first on the show right there. Oh, George, it's so bad we're not even going to put it up there.
When Jacob deGrom doesn't work, as good as he is, he was down early, like 3-0, 4-0. Yeah. I was like, if that doesn't work, and of course I found a way to say, is it really my fault when taking Jacob deGrom doesn't work? So I'm going to go with the next most obvious. Although, you think about it, I may have screwed up on this. The Dodgers clinched last night, which means they probably had a little team party.
Yeah.
Who knows what level of interest they have tonight. So play this one with a grain of salt. I'm taking the Dodgers. Watson, I'm a bitter man.
You had a rough night, George. I mean, DeGrom losing, I would have taken that one. And then the Braves lose on top of it. So.
Well, no, they won last night.
Oh, did they win last night?
They won last night, but they lost today 4-1 behind Charlie Morton.
I guess that's what I would get. The score I saw was today's score then.
If the Mets win tonight, they'll go back up a game and a half. Tomorrow, underdog picks. I'm not real happy about that either.
Neither am I.
Big raspberry to the Naval Academy. I'm just kidding. We don't want to get anybody upset. But their football team isn't very good. Watson, I can see progress, though. I can see you.
You can see me, and there's just a little bit in the corner, so we're making progress.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks to the folks out here for helping us. Dan, thank you for your help in putting this together. Thanks to the Sounds for their cooperation as well. This was fun. We'll see you tomorrow on Main Street Media Television.